But, for all this tech and data, there's still a very human side. He went Strava dark. He talked about why.
Yeah, he was quite open about that.
What was the reason?
He said it was down to the injury, the uncertainty, self-doubt even. He talked about dealing with nerves, feeling socially isolated during recovery.
That's really relatable, actually.
Totally. He emphasized, he didn't get into ultra running to train alone on a treadmill. It was social. So for him, enjoying the sport long-term matters more than constant pressure. Going dark, getting some privacy, that was a tool for recovery. It shows even elites battle major mental hurdles when they're sidelined.
It's such a crucial reminder. The mental game is just as important. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How does Jim actually define greatness in this sport? And what's his outlook for Western States 2024? He apparently has his own GOAT scale.
Yeah, he does. It's pretty interesting. He breaks it down. 1 or 2 Western States or UTMB wins, you're a champion. 3 wins makes you great. 5 wins, you're an all-time great.
And Jim's at 5 now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Puts him level with Killian, ahead of Dehane in that specific count. Then 10+ wins, that's GOAT status. He mentioned Scott Jurek with 7, Carl Meltzer with 14 at Hard Rock.
He had to take on races like Comrades.
Yeah, he felt they weren't quite at the global forefront compared to Western States or UTMB in terms of, I guess, defining the peak of the sport right now.
Interesting perspective. And going back to his own races, he called Chianti 2023 one of his greatest performances.
Yeah.
High ITRA score, right? Highest ever for an ultra or something.
An incredibly high ITRA score, reflecting the difficulty in his performance. He described the conditions vividly: pissing rain, chewed-up forest trails, super technical.
The huge win, beating Killian and Bonsan.
Massive win. But like we said, it came at a cost. It knocked him back physically. Kind of a double-edged sword, that one.
Definitely sounds like it. So turning to this year's Western States 2024, did Jim offer any predictions? Or at least point to the runners he sees as top contenders? I know he won't pick one winner.
Right. Refused to pick one because of friendships.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely laid out who he sees as the key players for the men. The top guys back from last year: Rod, Dan, Caleb. He noted Dan and Caleb have had strong starts to 2024. Adam Peterman, the 22 winner. Jim's logic: if you've won before, you're more likely to win again. Makes sense. Killian, obviously, multiple UTMB wins, super adaptable, can't ignore him.
And experience is key.
Huge. He stressed that. Thinks newcomers like David Roche, Hans Troyer, Dan Green, they face a really tough learning curve on that specific course.
Okay. And what about the women's race? Who did he highlight there?
He mentioned Pooja, said she had a phenomenal run last year and often flies under the radar. Esther, too. Marianne Hogan, coming back from a long recovery. And Riley noted her speed and said he's curious about her shoe choice, marathon versus trail shoe.
Lots of factors at play. But maybe the boldest thing he said was that he thinks a course record is unlikely this year. Why so sure?
It was pretty quantitative. He basically said people need to find 30 minutes to run faster for a record to even be in the discussion. Rod, for instance, needs to shave off 14 minutes from his time.
And Jim knows what that takes.
He claims his own proprietary GPX files. This GPS data show his moving time was well under 14 hours when he set the record, implying he understands precisely the effort needed.
So it's a huge ask. What else did he say is crucial for this race?
Temperature. He thinks it's a massive factor. Said the official Auburn temp, maybe 89F average, doesn't tell the whole story. It feels way hotter on course.
Like microclimates?
Exactly. He mentioned 2015 Forest Hill hit 95F when Auburn officially read 89F. That difference is enormous when you're running 100 miles.
So his ultimate advice for running Western States is just practical wisdom.
Pretty much. Take what the course gives you. That was his core advice. Don't force it. Adapt to the heat pockets, the humidity changes. Acknowledge how much the weather can shift. It's a race of patience, of response, not just brute force.
Great advice. And finally, he touched on the recent rule changes about aid and accompaniment, like no support runners from Bath Road to Forest Hill.